Hello, and welcome to this webinar regarding Copper. And as you may know, hopefully, as you've registered, Copper is the only sales automation solution recommended by Google. So the event today is hosted by Refractive in conjunction with G Suite Tips. And my name is Sean Power, and I'll be hosting the session today. We have most of the session, as you'll see in the agenda in a few minutes, taken up with a demonstration of the product, because really we want to show you as much of it as possible. We've got a range of information sources available which will provide access to you after the event, and so we'll send you an email after the event today, and you'll also receive a recording of the session. So you'll allow you to share it with your colleagues or to view later at your leisure if you so wish. So this is the agenda for today's session. As I said, we'll give you a very short presentation on the Copper solution, just to set the scene, really. And then we'll spend most of the time diving into the detail and showing you the product in action and showing you some of the features and some of the functionality that it has, which may be useful to you. If you do have any questions, and the YouTube page in the upper right-hand corner, there's a box there for you to ask any questions. So we'll try to ask those as we're going through the session or at the end, and any we don't have, we will come back to at the end of the session or after the session if we run out of time. We've scheduled about 30 minutes for the session today. We do have plenty to get through, so let me introduce you to the main player for today. That's Jake. So Jake is from Copper. He's a senior channel manager, and Jake will be taking you through the presentation and also the demonstration, which is useful for you to see the product in action. So that's it for me. I'll be back at the end of the session just to wrap things up, but just for the time being, I'll hand over to Jake.
Hey, thanks for the introduction, Sean. Great to virtually meet or at least speak with all of you today. So yeah, what we're going to go through today is a demonstration of Copper CRM. So as Sean was mentioning, Copper is the only recommended CRM solution by G Suite, and that's due largely to the integrations that we have available with G Suite right out of the box. So there's really no setup or configuration required in order for you to get instant value out of the system. So allow me to share my screen with you, which should be going live now. And we are looking at Copper CRM. So just set the scene with Copper. The reason why we're in business today is because our founder and CEO, John Lee, had identified a few key real areas in CRM industry as a whole that are affecting, small, medium, all the way to enterprise businesses usage of the CRM. And the number one reason why folks don't use CRM or had poor experience with CRM is they are too difficult to use. They didn't integrate with their existing systems, and they're too time consuming, meaning that they require too much manual data entry. So we saw this as a real opportunity in the market, and thus came Copper. We've always had a relationship with Google. In 2015, we were named G Suite's Google's #1 new tech partner of the year award. That's because of the real symbiotic relationship we have with G Suite customers and Copper, and the reason why I partner with Refractive and work very closely with Sean and his team. So to dive a bit more into the functionality and where we have those touch points and integrations with G Suite is that if we actually navigate away from the web application and go into Gmail, this is going to be the most noticeable area and where we have an instant integration and touch point within G Suite. As we can see, I'm working out of Gmail, where I'm assuming most of you folks spend a lot of time, given that you're already using Gmail. We have Copper available on the right-hand side. So where I'm spending 80% of my day every day, now I have a quick window into what's happening within the CRM. So I don't have to leave where I'm working, go into another system, look up another record, maybe see a shiny object and get distracted. I can work where I'm doing my, working off email. So for example, I have all of my tasks open here, but I can easily jump into any aspect of the system with leads to do some prospecting or opportunity generation, people or contacts to touch base with my existing clients or potential clients, go into companies or accounts, opportunities, projects, tasks, and so on, right? So I have all of these areas available to me without ever having to leave Gmail. Let's take that one step further. Let's say we're going back and forth with a client of ours, right? As soon as I open that email from my client, I have a window into Copper that gives me all of the CRM data available directly within Gmail. Again, don't have to leave, consolidate my workflow, help you be more productive so you can get more things done more quickly, right? Now I know who Brian is, where he works, who is he in relationship to the business, his title, who owns this record, myself, right? I also have all of his contact information. I have a couple of links to his social media profiles, and then I have other custom data points that I can track if need be. If I dive into the activity feed, this is where going to show me all of my interaction history between Brian and my organization. There have been 209 interactions. We last spoke with Brian today. So therefore, Brian has been inactive for 0 days, right? So we know we have seemingly a very close relationship with Brian. He might be one of my closest clients, right? And I can actually drill in and view all of the activity history that has taken place with Brian. And I can see that I actually just logged a demonstration with Brian today. I mentioned a couple of my colleagues to notify them of the conversation, which Copper will then send notifications to both Brett and Brittany to alert them that a conversation has happened, and I proactively reached out to inform them of this. To log an activity, I simply choose what activity type I'd like to log, depending on the type of interaction, right? So if I was having a sit-down meeting with Brian, I would be able to sit there with Brian and met with Brian, loves the Chrome extension for Gmail, right? And again, just want to show you how I can @mention a colleague if need be. I'll save that. It'll be timestamped and dated, and I can move on to the next record, right? Also, if I were to reply to Brian, hey, Brian, how's it going? How are you? Thanks, Jake, right? Not the most formal of messages. But now when I send that email and I go into Brian's record, we'll see that email automatically syncs with the system. I don't have to BCC. I don't have to relate these emails to the system. Copper just automatically picks it up. Simple, easy, and it works. That's the activity feed. The related tab is going to show you all of the records which are directly related to Brian, like opportunities. What deals are we working on? What projects are we working through? Tasks. Do I have any outstanding follow-ups? Do I need to create a reminder for me to follow with Brian? So follow up on new project for Q3, right? I'll make it a phone call. I'll set my due date and reminder. No, Tuesday at 3 p.m. Save, move on, simple, right? The whole idea is make this as simple as possible. Maybe I need to store files or access Drive files, which we can integrate with Google Drive, Dropbox, or computer, and house all that information here. I have a total list of all the calendar appointments I've ever had between Brian, which there have been 24, most recently in January of this year. He associates some projects to Brian, and I can also see whether or not he's been added to any MailChimp lists or campaigns directly from the CRM. So as we're seeing here, this is really your central source of truth for all client interaction and contact information. Now, we can see how it integrates with Gmail. I want to show you how it integrates with Google Calendar. So these purple events are actual tasks that I've scheduled from Copper that now end up on my calendar. If I go to next Tuesday, here's the task I just created for Brian. So it's on my calendar. I'm not going to get confused as to whether it's a meeting, a task, where we're logging those things. If you log them in Google Calendar or in the CRM, they're going to be in both places. So you don't have to worry about where you're logging them because they'll always be where you're working from. So that's how we would reference an existing contact within Copper. If I go back, I can now see that maybe I've got an email from a contact that's not yet in the database. So I get a new email. Hey, it's this cool guy Jake from Copper. Let's see what he's about. Copper is going to let me know right away that this is not yet a contact in the system and ask me whether I want to add it as a person or as a lead, depending on how they're reaching out to you, whether you think we can settle this contact or maybe it's part of an existing client or a partner. In any case, when we click add to Copper, it's going to go through their email signature, parse out the information from the signature, and automatically update this record for you. So that now I have all of their contact information from their email signature directly into this record, saving loads of time as it comes to manually adding contact information because that aspect of your day has just been removed by this simple contact sync. What we'll also notice is that upon adding new contacts to the system, is that we already have historical information populated the CRM. So migrating historical activities and emails is something that you don't have to worry about. Again, just really focused on simplicity and time to value so you can focus on doing your day-to-day aspects and less on manual data entry and data manipulation. So this is how the system works as it pertains to Gmail within the Gmail window. I'm gonna actually transition back into the web application at this point. So as we just went through, we went through a couple of individual contact records, started manipulating some data out of Gmail. But we can do obviously the exact same function within the web application and a whole lot more. So first is that when you land on your home dashboard, it's going to give you kind of a picture of what your day looks like today. That's going to be encompassed in a couple of reports that pertains to your sales forecast report, pipeline summary, and your daily agenda, right? So this would be a mix of your tasks and meetings, call lead. I've gone ahead and done that. Let's complete it and dive into some other areas. Getting started with people. So when we think of people, these are really all of your business contacts, right? So they could be clients, potential clients, partners, vendors, you name it. These are all the folks who you have some type of business relationship with, right? We're going to organize them by name, but we can change that, be first name, last name, ascending, descending, whichever order you prefer to see it in. These columns are all customizable, simple drag and drop to push and pull data points. And then we can sort by these data points as well, right? So let's say I want to see all the contacts in my system sorted from fewest inactive days to most, really identify the best relationships that we have, and also understand the total number of interactions that we have with these contacts, right? So this is really how we're going to highlight the relationship management aspect of your CRM. Literally, what's that relationship like? When was the last time you spoke to them? How many times you spoke to them? And then you can drill in to get additional context as to what was spoken about with this person. We can also create lists very quickly and easily, right? So if I wanted to, I can jump in here and pull a list of current customers that potentially are owned by a specific user, but I actually want to focus in on those current customers which we have within the technology industry, right? So I can see there's two contacts here, just Brian and Jake. We can select these contacts and do a couple of cool things. So whether or not I want to add them to a MailChimp list, I can go ahead and do that here. And then they're going to be added to a MailChimp listing campaign. I just subscribe them. Or if I prefer, I can actually send out bulk emails directly from Copper, which will just leverage the integration with Gmail to send these emails directly from my Gmail account. And then these emails will be sent automatically from the system directly through Gmail. So again, just really simple, leveraging the existing systems that you already have today. So let's dive back into Brian here. And let's say that Brian and I followed it. Let's fast forward to next Tuesday. I follow up with Brian and he wants to work on that project for Q3. So let's do Ignite Q3 project. I'm gonna create a new opportunity. Basically, what an opportunity is, right, is the ability for me and Brian to work on a project together. Now, whether that's acquiring a new client or some type of ongoing project or a new or existing client, it really doesn't matter. But we want to have a process in place to put us in the best position possible to acquire this business. So I'm going to assign this to my sales pipeline. I'm going to put in a prospective value. Let's say it's roughly 15,000 pounds. The close date, this is when I expect to win the business. So since it's a Q3 project, I think I'm actually going to win it, somewhere within July. I can also plug in some services depending on what I'm doing, and we can require fields upon entry, and then we'll save this new opportunity. Then we can see that this is a new opportunity that's just been added against Brian's record, and it's also been added to my sales pipeline. Now, from this is where I'm going to go as the owner of a business or a salesperson, or account manager, account executive, doesn't matter, to view all of the open opportunities, basically the business we're trying to acquire, the projects we're trying to win, and where they fall within that business acquisition process. So in this example, there are 17 total open opportunities worth roughly 4.5 million pounds within my sales process, which is defined as qualified to negotiation. Within each one of these stages, I can see the total number of opportunities, 11 for qualified, and the total pipeline value. So the prospective business that we hope we can acquire from this bucket is roughly 2.1, 2.2 million pounds. When I click on the card, this is the opportunity I just created against Brian. I go to the activity and I have all the email conversations, logged phone calls, notes against Brian available to me here. So I'm not going to miss out on the most recent correspondence between the key contacts that I'm using for this deal and any user of my CRM. When it comes time, I'm going to progress this opportunity through the pipeline simply by dragging and dropping each opportunity to their respective stage it should be. Now, as I do that, we can also use Copper as an automation engine. So effectively, Copper, we can create rules that will automatically generate new pieces of information, right? So I created I moved into the presentation stage, and it's going to give me a new task to follow up with this opportunity based off a rule that I've created. It's a very simple rule, something that a lot of sales organizations use just to have a safety net to make sure that if you've generated a new opportunity, let's put a safety net in place to make sure we're following up with this deal. And then ultimately, I want to track this opportunity all the way through the stages until hopefully we have a chance at winning, right? The ideal state is that we win this business and we continue to work with Brian as a client. Happy days. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen every time. Sometimes we'll have to abandon opportunities, which would really just reflect that, hey, One Fashion Global Netherlands never got back to us, so we don't know the state of this. Or, in a bad state is that sometimes we lose deals. But if we lose an opportunity, we have the choice to create custom reasons as to why we're losing this opportunity and track in a report where your business goes when you're not winning. So that I can always come back and understand how much business am I winning, where am I winning it from, how quickly am I winning it, and when am I actually winning this business, right? So by effectively tracking a sales pipeline, we understand much more about our clients, where they come from, and how we acquire them. And by using that in combination with filters, it's really easy to drill in on that subset. And then lastly is to truly measure this, you need some very effective reports to measure the results of your sales efforts or your client acquisition project efforts, right? Which is why we have key pre-populated, pre-structured reports that come with all of your Copper accounts. So that way we can drill in and understand that, hey, how much business have we won? Where are we winning it from? Where, who is winning the most business for the organization? And if we're losing business, where is it going to? Right. And then lastly is that, we can also track activities as it pertains to users. So if you have, KPIs in place in terms of number of phone calls, meetings, emails sent that require to hit salespeople's quotas or targets, we can then back into how we want to construct those quotas based off whether or not they're hitting those KPIs. So, in summary, Copper is that lightweight CRM solution that pairs very well with G Suite and G Suite customers to be the central source of truth for customer interaction data and make it a very lightweight and seamless experience between your G Suite applications and your CRM, hopefully one day being Copper. So I think that wraps up my presentation today. Yeah, I'll kick it back over to you, Sean.
Thanks, Jake. It's great to see the products in action because, as you said, it is just so easy, and it's so easy to set up and use from a user perspective as well. That it's a dream, really. So thanks for that, as I said, Jake. So before we get to the questions, I'd just like to highlight some of the potential next steps as you continue your investigation of copper. So firstly, there is a range of short videos on the Copper YouTube page, which show you various aspects of the solution, some of the features, some of the ways it can be used, and some case studies, etc. So we'll share that link with you after the session today. We'd also be delighted to have further conversations with you about your specific needs for sales automation and CRM. And this is what we find is it's a great way to uncover some of the features of Copper which we haven't had time to explore today, and also to dig into your exact needs, because every organization has precise needs that aren't always the same as every other organization. And then finally, there's a free 14-day trial available, so you can take a look around the solution in your own time and see how it would work and see some of the features that are available for you, which is useful. Okay, we have a couple of questions. Jake, if you can answer these if you get a chance. So from Dawn, so what are the sales management capabilities of the software?
Yeah, great question, Don. So as it comes to the sales management capabilities, really, if we go back into the pipeline and we look at, for example, let's just say the open opportunities, assuming that you're managing a team, right, is that this would be my entire team. So this isn't just my pipeline, this would be my team's pipeline. And I can see a breakout of the entire team's pipeline, which would be, 14 opportunities worth roughly 4.3 million pounds. And how those break out into individual users is determined by the owner of these opportunities, which I can see Brett Solani owns a opportunity gravity media solution worth 100,000 pounds. I can then go through and check out all of his opportunities. And then finally, as it pertains to reporting, is I can see a very, quick, easy overview of sales by owner. I can see, who's performing on my team, who's winning. And we can take this much further, if you have more specific follow-ups after that. But some, key and easy overviews.
Yeah, thanks, great. That's great. One other question that Dawn had was about the type of reporting, and you showed some of the standard reports. Is there a way to perhaps export that data into another a reporting tool or a BI tool to be able to create detailed reports?
Yeah, absolutely, of course. So, with our partnership with Google is that we have a integration with Google Data Studio. So it's the free BI tool that you get with your G Suite account, as well as a Google Sheets add-on from Copper. So pushing and pulling data between Copper, Google Sheets, and Google Data Studio is extremely easy. And then we can embed some Google Data Studio reports back into Copper if you find that any of our standardized reports are lacking.
Okay, that's great. And again, obviously, if there's any specific questions that you have, then we'll be happy to answer those if you respond to the email that we'll send to you. So thanks everybody for attending. Thanks for your time today, and thank you very much, Jake, for showing Copper. I think it's an exciting product that really can change the way that operations and sales operations process sales and manage sales. so it's well worth having a look at. So we'll follow up with the information as we mentioned, and if there's any further questions, please respond, and we'll respond as necessary. So thank you very much for your time. Bye now.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Cheers, Jack.